In the NBA playoffs on this Tuesday night as we welcome you inside Studio J for TNT NBA Tip-Off presented by Auto Trader. Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, Chuck Wagner.
My favorite night, Ernie.
Why?
Why?
Because I think game twos.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Because you know, obviously you've had game one. Now you got to make an adjustment. To me, the second game is the most important game in every series.
Well, we got the Magic and the Raptors and the Thunder and the Blazers on TNT, while NBA TV's got the Spurs and the Nuggets. That one is also really worth watching tonight because the Nuggets got to have a win there. We follow the whole thing up with Inside the NBA presented by Kia. Go back to game one of this series, and it came down to DJ Augustine at 25.
Been doing that all year.
And hit that three-pointer.
Yeah, you can't switch that. Not for the game winner.
No,
you got to get through. You got to get through because he's got the matchup. He's going to have the big matchup on him. He's going to have Gasol on him. It wasn't a good choice.
Or Kenny.
Tail of the tape in the point guard matchup.
Wow.
25-0, DJ Augustine over Kyle Lowry, who went 0 for 7.
That's impossible.
And 0 for 6. No, it happened. And for Kyle Lowry, and the Raptors have had all kind of trouble in game ones, but look at this for Kyle Lowry, 1-9, averaging just 11 points and shooting 32% and 19% from 3 in those 10 games, so he comes off this scoreless opener. First time he's been scoreless in 50 career playoff starts, and here's what he had to say.
I'm a guy that plays basketball the right way. Me not scoring any points doesn't mean I didn't affect the game. So that's why, the mental game doesn't really matter. For me, I played the game the right way, missed some shots, and, we lost, so it looks worse.
Now, if you weren't with us at 2 o'clock in the morning when we first ran that soundbite last night,
he was excited last night.
Chuck went.
I don't want to hear that. First of all, you better play the damn game the wrong way tonight. Now, Ernie, listen, Kyle's a great kid. Everybody knows that. But this is about performance. You cannot be an all-star and not score in the first game of the playoffs at home when you expected to go deep in the playoffs. I don't want to hear he played good defense. I don't want to hear he had X amount of opportunity.
You don't want to hear about 7 rebounds.
No,
and 8 assists.
I don't.
You don't want to hear about a plus 11, plus minus, the highest on the team.
No, I do not. No. I don't want to hear any of that. You cannot be an all-star in an NBA game and do not score at home. You cannot do that. I don't want to hear that stuff.
In the playoffs, you're supposed to add 5 PPG to what you're doing. So he's playing the right way. He needs to play the wrong way, like Chuck said. He needs to play out of his mind. 0 points is not acceptable. He can score. He can shoot. It's definitely mental. I know it's mental because he's talking about it. Maybe.
Well, he was asked about it.
Well, I don't care. I don't really care. So, he needs to step up. We've been having the same conversation about him the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, the opposing coach, Steve Clifford, did you hear what he said?
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah,
he played great. He affected the game in so many ways.
He said he didn't just play good. He played terrific.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, he needs another terrific game. That's why he wants one of those terrific games. Kyle Lowry, again, if you looked at it, first games of series, they're 1-9. So when he's not scoring the basketball, they're losing. So obviously, he's doing something he needs to change. I think it's something, obviously, when you say mental. So, you got a mental problem and why you're not playing well in the playoffs. You have to start changing your routine. That's the only way to get out of slumps, out of mental blocks, is do not do the same routine. So when he starts coming to the arena at different times, getting more shots, getting less shots, not coming out to shoot, whatever it is, you have to change. You have to jar yourself mentally to get out of that funk.
And I think he was 0 for 7.
And 0 for 6 from deep.
You got to be 0 for 12 to 14 to 15. You can't be 0 for 7. That tells me
he's thinking about it.
You're thinking about it and you're not shooting. He should get more than 7 shots. Listen, I have had bad games before, but I ain't never going to go 0 for 7. I'm going to go 0 for 14 or 0 for 15, but I ain't going to shoot just 7 times.
Not only that, he was open a lot. He passed up a lot of shots. Kenny, I'm going to have to disagree. You don't have to change your routine. You got to change up your mentals. If you think about having a bad game, you're going to have a bad game. When you're part of the 1-2 punch, you got to be aggressive.
But this is over years. This isn't like, if it was over, I would agree with you if it was over the 3 or 4 games. This is over years.
That's because he's thinking about it. That's because he's thinking about it. He needs, listen, If he was 0 for 15, 0 for 16, we'll give him the respect to say he was aggressive. His shot wasn't just fun, but we've seen this before.
Yeah, 7 shots?
Yeah, seven shots?
Yeah, we will see what Kyle Lowry does tonight in Game 2 in Toronto with the Raptors down.
He'll play well.
1-0.
He'll play well.
Do the Raptors still think the Magic have Penny and That's not bad, Charles. And for Kareem,
Kareem.
To All-Star center DeMarcus Cousins for the foreseeable future thanks to a torn left quad. It happened during the first quarter of last night's shocking home loss to the Clippers as L.A. completed a 31-point comeback, the largest in NBA postseason history, and it was in Oakland. Cousins, a big contributor since his January debut for the Warriors after a one-year rehab for a ruptured Achilles tendon when he was with the Pelicans. So, as for tonight, we've got 3 Game 2s for you. Out west, the second-seeded Nuggets are in danger of going down 0-2 to San Antonio. The Spurs have won 7 straight road playoff games in Denver. That's one shy of setting the postseason record versus a single opponent. Toronto in a similar spot, trying to avoid an 0-2 hole to the Magic. Since seeding began in 1984, only one 2-seed has ever gone down 2-0 to a 7-seed. That was the Utah Jazz, the Stockton and Malone era back in 1989. What a great era that was. And the Thunder will try to avenge their Game 1 loss to the Blazers tonight in Portland. They shot just 5 of 33 from deep in Game 1. 11 three-point misses by Paul George, the 6-time All-Star who was in the MVP conversation for most of this season. But he's not 100% right now, not even close. Here's Mark Schwartz.
Paul George appeared to be in good spirits at shoot-around, but his shoulder is still wrapped with ice. And because George wasn't talking, nobody could say how limited he'll be heading into Game 2.
When he says he's playing, he doesn't really go into, hey, this has really bothered me, but I'm going to try, or hey, I'm really struggling here to do this, but I'm going to try. He just goes.
A rhythm shooter, if there ever was one, George went 4 days without taking a shot because his shoulder hurt so much. The result? A personal playoff worst 11 missed threes. 4 of his shots were rejected.
It wasn't like he wasn't getting the shots. He just, missed some, which happens. But yeah, we're fine with it. We'll live with it. He's a really good player, even with a bung shoulder or whatever.
That means a lot of people are on him,
Remember, this is a man who returned to greatness after one of the most horrific injuries in league history. Those who know George well rave about his toughness and say he'll never make excuses. But for OKC to win this series, he'll need to make more shots. In Portland, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
All right, Mark, it's fair to say OKC goes as Paul George goes, because when he shoots above his season average field goal percentage, the Thunder win over 3/4 of their games. When he doesn't, like his 8 for 24 performance in Game 1, they have a losing record. It seems quite simple, Tim Legler, as we get set for Thunder Blazers Game 2 tonight, where all eyes will, of course, be on Paul George again after that ugly shooting night in Game 2. He's not saying anything about the shoulder. How concerned are you?
I like what he said yesterday, and when he said it was more about me not touching the ball for 4 days than it is about the pain I'm feeling, affecting my mechanics. I think he's going to have a great game. I think he's the most important player in this series, and I don't think they can win the series if Paul George isn't the best offensive player in it. You can live with some inefficient nights out of Russell Westbrook shooting the basketball because of all the other things that he does. You're going to need some role players to make some threes. Terrence Ferguson, Jeremy Grant, top of the list. Those guys got to make 5 or 6 threes combined if you're going to play 50 to 60 minutes. And then Paul George has to be close to 50% from the field and give him one of those 30, 35-point games. I think it's critical he do that to give them a chance in the series, and I think he will do that tonight.
Okay, let's go back to last night's game. We now know the Patrick Beverley, Kevin Durant drama is going to carry over into Game 3. Beverley all over KD in that 31-point come-from-behind win, historic in Oakland. His shooting reflected it, though, Tim. What does KD need to do, basically to get Beverley out of his head at this point?
Yeah, I think he's got to play more with a face-up position or play more downhill early in the offense, catching the ball and going on him. He's coming down the floor and starting from a stationary position and allowing Patrick Beverley to get up under his waist and hold on to his hips and really affect it. Because Kevin Durant is not the strongest guy in the world. He has a hard time separating. I made a joke today. He's carrying him around a court like a backpack. That's what Patrick Beverley looks like to Kevin Durant. He can't get him away from him, and if he resorts to ISO basketball, he plays into Beverley's hands. Play faster. be more decisive with your cuts. Try to get the ball early, moving up the floor, so now you could attack a smaller player that will not have a chance to stop you from getting to your spot and rising up over him. You turn this into a wrestling match, trying to catch the basketball. Patrick Beverley's going to win that because he's getting away with a lot of holding and grabbing.
Despite that big height disadvantage. By the way, can we give some love to the Clippers? Their bench in particular scored 83 points last night. Then it all season long, they had the most bench points by any team in NBA history this season. So
Lou Williams,
Warriors,
Montrezl Harrell have been unbelievable through 2 games. Yeah.
Excellent. Game 3, we shall see. It is Thursday back in LA. Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
It comes so easy, just believe.